This is a DawgNation special. Unmatched coverage of UGA in the postseason is brought to you by Kroger, Royal Caribbean, Jittery Joe's Coffee, and the UGA Bookstore.
Hello, DawgNation, and welcome into Yoga Bowl 2024. We're live here at the Superdome in New Orleans, and as we sort of expected we might, on this final time to see practice take place before the game on Wednesday, we are seeing the yoga stretching that we've seen in the past, and we'll try to zoom in and give you a chance to see some of this. Of course, our postseason coverage rolling on here, no matter what it looks like. We had a little bit of a sense of this. I showed some video on my X account a little earlier today of Georgia leaving to go to practice. That was only a couple of hours ago. They had their sweat clothes on. It was sort of obvious they weren't going to be doing anything too rigorous during practice today, just given how late they left the hotel, how they were dressed at the time. And for some context here, one of the reasons why they do show this, in addition to getting a chance to relax and just sort of go out of the practice week on kind of a more, I guess, downbeat and relaxed note, is this practice that would take place with the game on Wednesday. Anything that kind of happens before this during practice is essentially game plan prep. You know, if you had a chance to see our video on Saturday when we were in Athens there at the indoor practice facility, you know, what we saw there was pretty interesting from a football standpoint. It was Gunnar Stockton, the other quarterbacks throwing and guys making catches, and it certainly looked like football, but it probably wasn't too revealing as far as the game plan goes. But when you get here on this, what would essentially be like a Thursday if the game were on Saturday, 2 days ahead of the game, this is only going to be a walkthrough practice here in the Superdome. It's to get familiar with this building. It's to also kind of familiarize yourself with the game plan. So if Georgia were to show us something other than the yoga stretching on this practice 2 days before the game, we would be seeing their game plan. They're obviously not going to reveal that. So that's sort of the story here. Kaylee Manziel doing a great job working the camera. She's going to try to show you some interesting things here, and you'll kind of see, the guys doing their stretching. This is obviously something that Georgia does every week. They do take this seriously. And by the way, you'll notice that Will Muschamp is here. Muschamp's presence probably more only ceremonial than anything else, but a lot of fans have, taken some comfort of him being back around. He was here for the SEC championship. He's here right now too. Is that Kirby Smart off in the far distance there? Yeah, so Kirby Smart in the sort of background behind where Coach Muschamp was standing, that is Kirby Smart right there. Kaylee doing a good job kind of getting zoomed in on him. He's on the far end zone from where our video is being shot here right now. We are in the Louisiana Superdome where the game will take place on Wednesday. This is our final time to see Georgia prior to the game. And of course, our postseason coverage brought to you in part by our friends at Jittery Joe's. Seems interesting to talk about coffee and getting sort of, amped up with coffee while Georgia's kind of bringing themselves down with yoga. But don't forget that Jittery Joe's has been Athens' best tasting coffee, locally grown there and served it for the last 30 years. Been voted Athens' best the last 14 years there too. So if you'll download the Jittery Joe's app, go to jitteryjoes.com to download that app. You can get great savings in your next beverage. You can take advantage of all kinds of special offers there for them. And also, if you want to get one of those terrific commemorative cans that celebrates the 2021 and 2022 national championships, if you want to get one of those, you can find that online at jitteryjoes.com too. And also, don't forget, they're offering franchise opportunities now. So if you want a turnkey business opportunity, bring Jittery Joe's, the great taste of Jittery Joe's, to your town. Well, you'll get a chance to do that. Find out more online at jitteryjoes.com. You're watching Georgia practice. You're watching them go through their stretches. I believe that's Dylan Fairchild right there, right? So you see Fairchild on your screen going through this. It is amazing to me how limber and dexterous, is that the right word? Is it dexterous? Is that a word? Yeah, the big guys are really pretty good at this, and they do take it seriously. As I said before, this is not just something that Georgia does to prevent us from seeing anything interesting. This is a part of their regular weekly routine. And obviously it's not as cool as the practice video we showed you on Saturday. If you want to know what Georgia typically does 2 days before a game to close out a practice, this is what it is. And, these guys are as intent on this as they are anything else. Let's see who else we can see close by over here. I see Cash Jones, not too far over there. I kind of see him. As we're showing you this, you'll also see some of the Georgia staffers kind of walking through, and I saw Glenn Schumann. Yeah, Glenn Schumann on the far sideline over there. Schumann's always easy to identify because dresses a little bit different than some assistant coaches do. Always in full sweats, full sweat pants, sweat shirt. Despite the fact that it's pretty warm today in New Orleans, Schumann wearing his customary full sweats the way that he typically does. One of the things you'll notice about being here in the Superdome is the venue just looks different than a lot of dome stadiums do. To me, it's a lot more cavernous. If you think about the areas around the 25, 30-yard line, not the center of the field, not the corners of the stadium, but that area in between, that kind of leans away from the playing surface a little bit. So the stadium itself, I think, gives a little bit of a different vibe than other dome stadiums do. This is obviously the same stadium. It's been renovated since then, but it's the same stadium that Georgia played against Notre Dame on January 1st of 1981. That was obviously a very memorable game. There have been other memorable sporting events take place here too. The Taylor Swift Eras Tour was also here as well. Kaylee Mansell would like for me to point out. So
that's not true.
The reason why I said that, our buddy Jonathan from Dr. Pepper came to the Eras Tour here at Superdome. That's what made me think about that. While I've got Kaylee here, I guess, Kaylee, what jumps out to you? What are you noticing from seeing this yoga stretching taking place? What stands out to you right now?
Well, you can definitely tell there are certain positions that the boys do not want to do because they giggle at each other like little girls when they have to do certain things. But I just noticed the coaches trying to make sure that they're taking this as seriously as possible, because even though at the end of the day it's funny, like, this is how you prevent yourself from getting hurt, and Georgia's been injured so much this season, and stuff like this is very preventative. So even though it's funny to them, it's funny to us. Like, it's a serious thing, and it can be really beneficial.
How much yoga have you done in your life?
I actually do a lot of yoga. I have my yoga mat. Yeah, I do a lot more yoga than you probably think. I got a little green yoga mat at home.
I'm glad to hear that. That's awesome. You don't give yourself enough credit, or at least I would assume that you might do plenty. So that's awesome. I also see Greg McElroy over there, that color analyst for Wednesday's game. We had a chance to talk to Greg McElroy on our show, DawgNation Daily, this morning. He gave some great insight into Gunnar Stockton making his first start. And so now McElroy kind of here, obviously going to get a chance to absorb everything that takes place prior to the game. He's getting his chance to see that. Some of the other things that Georgia would have done, before this period we got a chance to see, and watching and seeing this, obviously for Georgia specialists like Drew Miller, in place now of Brett Thorson, his injury, you get used to punting inside like this. If you're, a kicker, you're getting used to the backdrop here. What it is that you're seeing. Georgia has played in a lot of domed stadiums just because of the success that it's enjoyed. It also starts, seasons frequently in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. But obviously every venue going to be a little bit different as far as all of that goes. The backdrop's going to look a little bit different. I think the turf, players would say, is probably a little bit different. And so some of this is a chance to also acquaint yourself a bit with what the playing surface is going to be like. Obviously, the last time Georgia played in New Orleans would have been at the conclusion of the 2019 season. So none of the players currently on this roster would have played in that game. So this is their chance to do that. Frequently, you'll also see them do that. When they arrive at an away venue, they'll get off the bus, they'll walk through. Sometimes the very first thing you'll see them do is kind of take a lap around the stadium and the playing surface area. Some of that is kind of also a part of this here today, just to get used to this venue, this stadium, and see what that's like. Traditionally, for a semifinal playoff game back in the 4-team playoff era, Georgia would have spent a week on the road wherever the game was taking place, and that would have meant they would have had another venue they would have done more traditional practices in. A lot of times it'll be like a local junior college, for instance, or a situation like that. Not necessarily any place there's enough of a field to accommodate them. That's where they'll go through some of that. And this week, because of the fact that if Georgia wins, they'll also be traveling to Miami. They are not staying as long in any of these locations, so some of the final practices prior to this Sugar Bowl took place in Athens, as opposed to what in the past would have kind of taken place at the site of the game. So this practice, kind of one of the, I guess, rare moments of getting together for practice while they've been here in New Orleans. You were watching our final look at Georgia practice before, we'll use practice in air quotes here, before Georgia gets ready to take on Notre Dame on Wednesday. Traveling around New Orleans here this week, and today especially, you're starting to see more fans coming in. A lot of red and black, a lot of Georgia fans are showing up. Obviously, you're expecting to see those festive moods start to increase here tomorrow, of course, being New Year's Eve. A lot of Georgia fans looking forward to that, and then the game itself. Seeing some Notre Dame fans here, too, but thus far it's a large contingent of Georgia fans that we've noticed, and more of those starting to make their way in the next couple of days. We expect we'll see a lot more of that, too. Kaylee, anything else jumping at you? Anything else we need to see on camera that we haven't seen as of yet? Georgia going through its final stretches here. Tomorrow, for the most part, this team will stay locked away, getting ready for the game coming up after that. We're in the Louisiana Superdome. You hear the voice of Scott Sinclair, the Georgia strength coach, far on the other side from where we're standing, kind of barking out those instructions for how to do the stretch properly. We may get ready to sign off here in a minute. Obviously, this historic venue, a place that's been good for Georgia in the past, producing a national championship in 1980. And, of course, perhaps the next step for a national championship for Georgia here this year, too. So Georgia going through its yoga. You've had a chance to see some of that here in the Superdome. Stay close to DawgNation tomorrow. We'll be live tomorrow for DawgNation Daily. Plenty of coverage there. On the beat later on tonight. We'll get more reaction to everything that's gone down today. Kaylee, you also had a chance to see a lot of coaches and players today for Media Day. You had a chance to kind of conduct your own stuff while we were doing DawgNation Daily, including spending a lot of time with Gunnar Stockton. What did you think about all of that?
Well, first off, Gunnar is like every coach's dream. Doesn't say very much, but kept a smile on his face. But I think the biggest thing that was evident is just every person I got the chance to talk to, you can just tell how much respect they have for him and how much they believe in him. And the teammate chemistry looks better than ever. We're
going to wrap up here, leaving from the Superdome. Stay close to DawgNation throughout the day. We appreciate you being a part of our postseason coverage.